crime that's been in the news again tonight. It was a week ago that Karen Hadaway and Nicola Fellows went missing. At about this time, search parties were setting out to look for them. Sussex police have helped us, with the family's consent, to reconstruct what's known so far. It may be that their killer was a local man, perhaps he even knew the girls, but he could have come from anywhere at all. What's not in doubt is that last Thursday he was in Brighton. The Moulscombe estate lies across the A27 Brighton to Lewes Road. Just opposite is Wild Park. This is where last Friday afternoon 2 local teenagers had come to search the undergrowth in response to police appeals for help. And this is where they found the bodies of the 2 girls in a play den deep inside the undergrowth.
Right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The information from the public continues to flow in.
It's now day 5 of the inquiry.
The team again today. We seem to be increasing it almost daily now.
This is the largest investigation in Sussex since the Brighton bombing. Already 10,000 people have been interviewed and 4,000 homes have been visited.
There were a number of new sightings of the 2 girls up until about 6:30 p.m. Unfortunately, we still have not got a sighting of these girls going into that park.
Newick Road, East Moulscombe. At 5 last Thursday afternoon, the girls were playing with a group of friends outside a neighbour's house. Soon after, they made their way from Newick Road here across the A27 to Wild Park. A park policeman clearly remembers seeing them, even though the girls were forbidden to come here by their parents.
5:15 last Thursday, I was walking through the park. I saw 2 girls under the tree, swinging on the tree. I approached them and told them, asked them what they was doing up there. Now come on, what are you doing up there? Fall down and hurt yourself.
That was 5:15, and this is the last precise timing police have. Sometime in the next half hour, the girls crossed back over the main A27. At roughly 5:45, they were outside the fish and chip shop in Barkham Road. Next, they were seen going down the subway that leads back to the Wild Park side of the road. It was now 6 to 6:15.
Anyway, you're going to the Wild Park.
From the subway, they must have headed up Coldene Lane towards another fish and chip shop. This girl, 16-year-old Tracy Cox, is the next witness. She noticed the girls, whom she knew, outside the shop, and as she left, she spoke to them. Tracy then walked with them back over the main road and into the estate. Police are anxious to establish precise timings. The 3 girls passed the playground near Barkham Place. Could you have seen them there? Nicola, with the dark hair, was wearing a very bright pink sweatshirt.
Isn't it about time you 2 are going home now?
Yeah, we are.
Tracy says she left them near the end of Ringmer Road, not far from where they lived.
Tracy! Bye!
By now, it was getting dark, and both girls' parents had been looking for them. This girl, Michelle Tippett, was coming down Barkham Road after delivering papers on the estate.
Right, where are you going?
Oh, we're going to Wild Park.
All right, you better tell your mum first.
No.
Michelle met them at roughly 6:25.
Come on, Karen. 1 minute. Karen, come on. Right.
I'll see you later.
Bye.
After that, they crossed the road again, and at about 6:30, they were seen outside the entrance to the park.
My Karen wouldn't go off with any strangers. Had to be somebody that Nicola and Karen both knew, both trusted, and it's very important for everybody, not just necessarily people on this estate, but on all the estates in Brighton. If you know something, no matter how small it seems to you, to the police, it's very important. Just get in touch with them. Ring them anonymously, you know, if you must do. Anything, no matter how small, please just get in touch with them. because it could save the life of somebody else's child.
John McConnell, there can't be many more distressing crimes you've had to investigate.
No, this was a particularly horrific offence of murder committed against two children of tender years, and both were indecently assaulted just prior to their death. I'm therefore appealing to anybody that saw these two girls in the Wild Park or Moulsecoomb Combe area after 5 p.m. on Thursday last, the 9th of October. I'm also appealing for anybody who was in the Wild Park area or Moulsecoomb area of Brighton during that period and who have not yet come and seen us and told us what they were doing.
Now, you announced today that 2 young men were seen running away from that park. That was about 7 o'clock, 7:30 that evening.
Yes, there were 2 youths seen by 2 separate people coming away from the Wild Park area at approximately 7:30 p.m. last Thursday, the 9th of October, and we're very anxious to get them to come forward so that they can be eliminated from the inquiry.
Now, they might be completely innocent, of course, just running away, larking around. They might have been late for something, and they might be a little reluctant after all this publicity to come forward, thinking, oh, we're going to be in for some pretty tough questioning.
Yes, that's quite true, but it's essential that they do come forward so that we can eliminate them and then get on with looking at other people who might be more significant in the inquiry.
Obviously, it's going to waste hundreds of man-hours if they don't come forward voluntarily as well.
Yes, we've had a very big team of officers on this inquiry, and of course we're anxious to use their resources in the best way possible.
Now, there was an appeal some time ago about a man who'd been cruising in, I think it was a blue car, a couple of weeks before this incident, and it was thought that he might have been trying to solicit small girls. Yes,
that's true. We've been trying to establish the identity of a man who, approximately 3 weeks ago, tried to inveigle a young girl into his car, which was a blue car, and as yet we haven't traced this man. He was said to be approximately 25 years of age. He had ginger hair, and of course we are again very anxious to trace him, so that again perhaps he can be eliminated from the inquiry also.
Well, please remember, if you can help in any way, it might be that someone's moved in to you near where you live who you think might have been in Brighton at the time. It might have been somebody local about whom you have suspicions. It doesn't matter where you live. If you can call us, you might prevent what happened to Karen and Nicola from happening again. The number here in the studio, here it is, 01811 8055, 01811 8055, or you can call the incident room in Brighton directly, 0273 606 744. That's 0273 606 744. Now to the second of these appalling cases. And this one's in the city rather than the country. The victim was a girl rather than a boy, Katerina Koneva. But this time there's a wealth of detail. There are witnesses, there are strong descriptions, and there's a great deal of forensic evidence. As with Thomas Marshall, the murder made front-page headlines. It happened back in May, on Thursday, May the 22nd, in Hammersmith, West London. 12-year-old Katerina and her family had moved to Britain from Macedonia about a year ago. Her parents were here as students. Both children had settled well into local schools, and, as Dad is painfully aware, Katerina was an inspiration to her younger brother.
He missed his sister, and he can't explain how much he missed her. He has pain, and he can't explain his pain. He has shock. He can't explain his shock.
Ciao, Piotr.
Oh,
You didn't have your tea done.
Good luck.
Bye.
Every day, Trache took Katerina the first part of the journey to her school.
We go on bike, on bus stop, and just bus was coming. I said, "You're lucky. You're not going to wait a long time today." And she picked up bus. It was just normal morning.
Katerina was a gifted pupil. In a year she'd picked up perfect English, was coming top in class, and the very day she died, she was asked to stay back after school for a few minutes to collect a commendation.
Okay, well done.
Meanwhile, back near home in Hammersmith, another schoolgirl was walking home.
The dog barked and ran to the window, and I walked to the window thinking it was my daughter coming in from school, but it wasn't. It's then that I saw this man walking along this way towards me. It was strange the way he was looking at her. It wasn't just a casual glance, it was very intense, sort of almost studying the girl. I just felt that this man was going to stop and turn, which he did.
I love maths, but
About 20 minutes later, Katerina and a friend arrived at the far end of the road, at the junction between Benbow Road and Iffley Road.
How much homework have you got?
loads, but don't talk to me about it. I'll see you then.
Okay, bye.
Katerina walked the last few hundred yards on her own. Did anyone else see her? Normally, at least one of Katerina's parents was home to greet her. But today, her father was held back at college for a fateful 15 minutes.
When I came near to the house, then I saw front door from the house was open. Never is open. I couldn't properly think, but just my mind told me it's burglar.
The burglar, as he seemed to be, astonished someone in a house opposite who saw him clamber out of the first floor window.
What were you doing in my house?
You don't have time just to think and to realize what to do. But after that, I still decide to run after him.
He's got a knife! He's got a knife! Phone the police! That guy was in my house! Where? Iffley Road! Phone the police! Call the police! That man over there was in my house!
They couldn't understand what's happened. Just I was going in telephone box to call police. I saw him trying to escape.
Don't let him drive! Don't let him drive! Don't let him drive! Don't let him drive! That man was in my house! Don't let him drive!
Help me! Help me!
Well, I thought he'd been mugged or something. He looked quite a pathetic man.
Don't let him drive!
Once he got in the car, then the face changed. Then he had this frenzied look.
Don't let him drive!
I then went to get the keys with my left hand. He then produced a knife.
Realizing the chase was done, Traice made his way back to his flat. The man, meanwhile, drove only a quarter of a mile or so and abandoned the car in a bus stop on Shepherd's Bush Road. Everyone remembers him clutching a bag as he boarded a 2:20 bus heading for Wandsworth via Hammersmith.
80.
He had what's described as a foreign accent, and the driver saw blood on his cheek and stains on his shirt.
There was a man in my house.
The man got off the 2:20 when it reached Hammersmith bus station at roughly 10 to 5. The date again, Thursday the 22nd of May. Did you see a man with blood on his face and clutching a dark-coloured bag? Meanwhile, Traice and police officers had broken down the sitting room door and found Katerina strangled. They'd tried mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, but she couldn't be revived.
It's difficult to look on her picture because you can't take it what happened. You You expect any moment to come in the room and to sit with her, to talk with her. I miss her with everything. She was that energy what gave me to be alive. Mom, I'm waiting for her to come back. I will never believe what happened.
Hamish Campbell, I know you've discounted any political connection with this crime. Do you yet know what the motive is? You haven't revealed this yet.
No, we've certainly explored a number of motives, but it would appear now that this killing was sexually motivated. And whilst Katerina wasn't sexually assaulted, the strangulation was particularly vicious. She was strangled twice, both manually and with a ligature. That the motivation was strangulation, and he gained some sexual satisfaction from that act alone.
Paint a picture of the man that you're looking for.
It's difficult. We would certainly say he's probably someone who's living alone, would perhaps appear odd to people. Someone who has difficulty in forming relationships with women, is aggressive towards them, probably living in council property or property which is being provided by the state or receiving benefits for.
And physically, he looked very, very much like the actor we had there.
The actor there is particularly good. We got a lot of witnesses, we have the video fit, and the artist's impression, a man who's very short, no more than 5'4", possibly 5'3", stocky build, a foreign appearance but may not be foreign, a tan complexion, 45 to 50 years old, with a balding head and hair at the back and the sides which was black but going grey. Very distinctive if all those factors are put together.
Now, you don't know where he was heading for. He was in a panic. He tried to get a bus one way, eventually got a bus south, and you don't know once he got to Hammersmith bus station where he went. So he could go north, south, east, west, in and out of London.
Absolutely. We're not convinced of where he is, but we feel he may be a local or within the London area. He clearly would have perhaps lived in the area or worked in the area previously or still does. And we're asking for anybody in those last 3 months, what has he been doing? Which shops has he been visiting? Dentists, barbers?
And this was not a one-off. You know that in February, and perhaps other occasions too, but you know at least in February, this same man was stalking another girl.
That's correct. I mean, only 400 yards from the murder scene, on the 4th of February, a 12-year-old girl was followed home, and that man rang the doorbell to try to gain entry and then started scratching at the lock. That man returned only 2 days later. Unfortunately, the mother was in, and he tried to gain access but went away. Now, the description there is very close to this killer, so we know that he was out there then and on the afternoon, someone who's determined to get to girls.
Let's take another look at this face. And do you know him? Maybe you work for Social Security or in a bus crew, or you're his GP, you're his barber, you've seen him somewhere. Maybe he's a bit odd, a bit of a loner, whatever. Don't hesitate. He can be eliminated if you get the wrong name very, very easily with a wealth of forensic evidence. 0500 600 600, our free call number live here to the studio. Or you can call the incident room on 0181 246 0734. That's 0181 246 0734.
Now, next month will mark the 21st anniversary of 7-year-old Nikki Allen's murder. She'd been a happy child, growing up in the Weirgarth flats in Sunderland, but on the night of the 7th of October 1992, she went missing. Despite a frantic search, she wasn't found until the following day. Her body was discovered in a disused building near to where she used to play. She had been stabbed 37 times.
I look at Nikki's pictures and I try to think of happy thoughts, and it just leads to the night when she was murdered. I can imagine probably her last words were shouting, "Mum."
The unsolved murder of Nikki Allen 2 decades ago has never been forgotten by people in Sunderland. The 7-year-old was one of 4 sisters who lived on the Weargarth estate with her mother.
Nikki was the closest out of the 4 children. She clung beside us all the time. She loved the carnivals, trips with the nursery and school, or playing with her cousins outside.
On October the 7th, 1992, Nikki spent the evening playing with her cousin and her older sister, Stacey.
Girls, I'm just popping out. I'll be 5 minutes.
Okay.
Sharon went to her father and stepmother's flat, which was in the same block a short walk away.
My head really hurts.
It wasn't long before she was followed by Nikki and her cousin.
Mum, can we go to the park tomorrow?
Sharon told Nikki to go home, promising her she'd be back soon.
And she just walked out the door.
Sharon returned to her flat a short time later and went to check on the children.
I just thought Nikki had went home, so I went down and she wasn't there.
Mum, she didn't come home.
She won't have gone far.
Nikki! 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 Where did you be?
I think after about half an hour I knew there was some tomorrow.
There was a massive search. Local residents joined the police and stayed out all night looking for Nikki.
Okay, if I just have a seat. Right.
The next day, Sharon received the news she'd been dreading.
I was put in a room until they found a body. I think it's Nikki. Can I stop here, please?
"21 years on, detectives are scouring the evidence for new leads.
Well, this investigation's always remained open. We've got teams of detectives working on the inquiry. We're utilising developments in forensic techniques, working with scientists, looking for opportunities. We're reviewing the witness evidence. But most importantly, I remain convinced that the answer lies with the community of Sunderland. We need people to think back to that night. Do they know something that could help us catch Nikki's killer?
Nikki had been told by her mother, Sharon, to go home. But she was seen by several witnesses outside the nearby Boar's Head pub, which was directly opposite the estate. And a short time later, a girl was seen walking along Low Street with a man. Low-grade CCTV from a nearby building shows a figure walking along with what appears to be a child. Police believe this is the last sighting of Nikki. Her shoes and coat were found 12 hours later outside the then derelict Old Exchange building, just a few hundred yards from where she'd last been seen alive. Her body was found inside. Nikki had been hit over the head with a brick and stabbed 37 times.
It's hard for me to think of that, because I just think of how she was murdered, being stabbed all them times, and it were a brick. I can imagine probably her last words were shouting, "Mum."
There's no doubt at all that the murder of a 7-year-old child would have a massive impact on any community, but it had a significant impact on this community in Sunderland, which was particularly close-knit. And it'd be fair to say that that impact has never really left. People still talk about it in the pubs and clubs around Sunderland. It's still something which is talked about in day-to-day talk. It's really important that we find the solution to this so that the whole community, as well as Sharon and her family, can find some peace and some closure.
That somebody can go out there and do that of a child. I cannot understand somebody living with that. I want Nicky's killer to be caught, and anybody that's involved to be caught. Because I'll keep fighting on, because I'll not leave it to my other 3 daughters. I don't want them to live the torment like I am.
Well, it's beyond horror, isn't it? I'm joined now by Detective Superintendent Roger Ford, who's leading this case. Absolutely appalling. In the film that we've just shown, we chose to leave out some of the actual crime scene footage for obvious reasons. Can you just take us through the worst parts of this crime and what actually happened here?
Kirsty, this is a truly horrific murder. Nicky had been stabbed over 37 times, then a body dragged into the basement of the building where a body was subsequently found.
The worst imaginable crime, really. And the worst thing about it is nobody yet has been convicted of this murder.
That's right, Kirsty. A number of people have been arrested. One man has been acquitted in 1993, but no one has ever been convicted of this brutal murder. But things change.
Yeah.
2 decades on, people change, circumstances change, people's loyalties change. And I genuinely believe that the answer to this lies within the community of Sunderland, and I would urge them to come forward.
Yes, tonight is the night to do the right thing. Let's just go back then, as I say, 21 years ago. Go back to 1992 and tell me what you know about this little girl's movements that evening.
Yes, well, as we know, she left her grandma's flat around about 9:30. We've got a confirmed sighting outside the Boar's Head Public House at 9:43 p.m.
Right.
We then got a possible sighting of Nicky at 9:51. A witness described seeing a man walking with a child along Low Street towards the old Exchange building, and that man's described as wearing a white shirt and jeans.
Just remind me about, we saw it in the film, this little bit of CCTV. Now, it's pretty grainy, it's not great resolution, but you're pretty sure it's very important.
Most definitely. What we have is the CCTV at 9:57 on the Roseline building, which faces east along Low Street, shows the grainy figure followed by what looks like a small child. And we believe that's the last confirmed sighting of Nicky.
The people you are keen to speak to tonight, the people who we really want to phone in, are people who were around that area in 1992, who used those buildings, who knew that area in 1992. Just tell them why you need to speak to them.
Yeah. We really need to speak to people who used that building back in 1992. At the time, it was known as the Old Exchange building and had been derelict for a number of years. We need to speak to those people. When they went there, who else did they see? Kirsty, this is particularly important because I believe whoever killed Nicky had been inside that building beforehand and knew its layout. And I also believe that someone was there who's seen or heard something, and I would urge them to come forward, whether they've contacted the police previously or whether they never have before now.
OK, that's really important. Thanks very much, Roger. It's utterly heartbreaking. If you have held back information for all of these years, then I would urge you, tonight is the time to pick up the phone and do the right thing. This is the number you need to call. It's 0500 600 600. Or if you'd prefer, you can speak anonymously You can do that to Crime Stoppers. There's their number. 0800 555 111.